Hi, welcome to Electric Dreams. I'm Dennis, and today we're going to be talking about tires. Various different types of tires, the compounds, where you would use them and how you would use them. Most cars that are on the market these days are fitted with rubber tires that are molded by the manufacturers in the factory and fitted to the wheels. Now, sometimes these tires are really good, sometimes they're not as good as they could be. Most of them are fitted with a small to the wheels. They're fitted to the wheels by means of a small channel in the tire and a ridge on the wheel. And those ridges vary in size and shape from one manufacturer to the next. So it is always important when choosing a tire for your car that you know which one will fit. And we have a very good cross-reference that we can always advise you on which tires will fit which wheels. So let's talk about the different types of tire. First of all, the rubber tires that are on the cars are generally molded by the factory to give you a reasonable kind of traction, and they always have the advantage that the rubber is easy to print on, and so there is always very often nice detail printed on the side of the tire. If the rubber tires are not good enough for the kind of work that you do in your racing, then you have some choices. The first one would be to change from a rubber tire to a silicone tire. Silicone tires are all made by aftermarket manufacturers in small quantities at home very often. They have to be formed very carefully and very concentrically because the silicone is extremely hard to grind. There are a number of different brands of these, but silicone tires work best on clean tracks, clean plastic like Carrera or SCALEAUTO, or even clean painted surfaces used on wood tracks, painted with latex or something like that. If keeping a track clean is not an option, then very often it is better to use what is called a urethane tire. These look very similar, they mount in the same way, but they're made from a different compound. They're still black, they're still nice and shiny. They are much more tolerant of dirt and dust on the track, but they do not necessarily give you the absolute grip that you would expect from a silicone tire on a clean track. There are a number of aftermarket or accessory rubber tires available from some of the big manufacturers like NSR and slot.it and Sideways, in softer compounds than are generally provided on their normal cars or from the factory. Those are a good choice for guys running non-magnet on wood tracks. But finally, the best way for running non-magnet on a wood track, especially if there's some traction compound on the track, is to use a foam tire. Foam tires are basically just that. They're made from foam rubber, they're cut in rings. They fit differently onto the wheels normally because the wheel now does not have that central ridge. It may have ridges on the side, and very often these tires are either just mounted on, like these slotted ones are mounted, and then ground true, or they're actually glued and trued, like most of the NSR or SCALEAUTO tires would be. Talking about gluing and truing, that brings us to this beautiful collection of tools that we have on the table here. And as you all know, slot car racing is all about the tools. So these are a couple of different tire truers that are available here. They range from the kind of tire truers that are used to true an entire axle assembly, very useful for your SCALEAUTO and Carrera and other such cars where the plastic wheels are pressed onto the axle. You would mount the whole axle and its bushings into the carrier. There is a little drive pulley that is driven, and it spins that whole thing. Then you can you can crank this down to get the right diameter while you slide the sandpaper that's underneath it back and forward to get the tires nice and true and even side to side. When you're running with aluminum wheels like NSR, Sideways, slot.it, others, there are more options. We have two tire truers, a small one from S&K in Ukraine, I think they are, or somewhere in Eastern Europe, or HUDYs, which come from the Czech Republic. These are the Rolls-Royce of of tire truers. They true one tire at a time, but they have settings which allow you to repeat the size. Very, very useful for foam tires, but rubber tires and urethane tires can be ground on these as well. And silicone tires, to an extent, yes, although it would take a long time to reduce the silicone tires by any noticeable degree. The final one is the SCALEAUTO one at the front here, which is just a little different to the others two in that it will handle 2 tires at a time. You can mount two tires next to each other on the machine, they run away, on the machine, and get both of them to the exact same diameter. Very nice machine with multiple speed settings. The speed settings would be determined by the power supply that you're using. So that's a very quick 10,000 foot introduction to slot car tires. Remember, rubber tires come standard on the car, and sometimes they're fine as long as they're kept clean, and once a track is rubbered in, they work well. But if you're running with magnets, you may be able to get away with the stock tires quite successfully. If not, then silicone or urethane tires are your next steps in adjusting the traction that you have, and generally are available in sizes to fit the cars that you have and to fit the stock rims. And then finally we have foam tires, which are usually set on different rims, either bought as just as foam rings or bought as pre-glued and trued, and are mostly used on wood tracks where there is a traction compound laid onto the surface. So I hope that helps you, gives you some idea of what is available, and thank you for listening, and we will be back with more information at some later time.